Hey everyone, this is KITHERA here, and today I'm going to be doing a blind reading of And Quiet Flows the Dawn by Mikhail Sholokhov. I've never done anything like this before. I'm really excited to get into this. I know nothing about this book so far, but it's basically, today we're just going to do like a whole like plot summary, a whole like analysis and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. It's going to be a pretty simple just run through. I'm really excited to read this book, yeah, let's just get straight into it. Yeah, so before I begin, I just wanted to kind of preface this by saying, like, this is definitely not one of the usual things that I do in terms of content. Like, I usually just put up music stuff and whatnot, and this is probably not going to be as popular as my other videos. I'm probably going to lose a lot of views from this, but I don't really care because, like, I don't really have many subscribers, and I'm not really, like, popular in any sort of way. So, you know, I'm just going to get started. You're going to have to excuse me for the whole, like, gaming content in the back. I do feel like I'm kind of selling out when it comes to that, because I know a million different people do that. But, no, I just want this to kind of just be like a little side project that I'm doing. I'm obviously still doing many other things. I'm still releasing music as KITHERA. I'm still putting out a lot of content. This is by no means like a shifting away from any sort of thing. This is just kind of something different that I wanted to try out for size. So in my copy, the book starts out with a little excerpt from an old Cossack song. So from what I know from this book, it's about the life of Russian Cossacks, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't know much about this book at all. I know the Don is a river in Russia, but that's pretty much it. So the song starts out and says, "Not with a plow is our dear glorious earth furrowed. Our earth is furrowed with hooves of horses, and our dear glorious earth is sown with the heads of Cossacks. Our gentle Don is adorned with youthful widows. Our gentle father Don is blossomed with orphans. The waves of the gentle Don are rich with fathers' and mothers' tears. O thou, our father, gentle Don, O why dost thou, gentle Don, flow so troubledly? Ah, how should I, the gentle Don, not flow troubledly? From my depths, the depths of the Don, the cold springs beat. Amid me, the gentle Don, the white fish leap." So the first chapter of the book, it kind of details out a family history about the family in question that we're sort of looking into. It's a little bit phrased like a lot of the other epics that I've read before. I've read the Mahabharata before, and they usually start out with like a giant, really long, convoluted family history, and that's kind of what this this book does as well. So we start off for the family history on the Milihov family farm, who live at, it says, right at the end of Tatarsk village, which is presumably in Russia, since this book is about the Russian Cossacks. And we kind of zoom in on this one character, whose name is Prokofy, who is, I think, he's sort of the grandfather, the patriarch of the whole family. And he brings home this woman from the Turkish campaign, and it's kind of unclear because at the time, historically, Russia has fought many wars with Turkey or the Ottoman Empire, so it's unclear whether this is from the Crimean War in the 1850s or the Turkish campaign in 1877. So after the war, when he comes back, he gets his own house and everything. He goes into the whole retirement process like I'd presume a lot of people back then who would go out to war and return would do. And everyone starts noticing that this woman who, I mean, I don't really quite see a name in here, maybe I missed it, but they just refer to her as Prokofy's wife. They do not refer to her as her actual name, which is a little bit, you know, I feel like that's kind of something that might be important later. But basically, after Prokofy brings this girl home, she's all that he ever hangs out with. Him and his wife, like, they don't really communicate too much with the village life or anything, and the village gets pretty suspicious about that. So some of his old war buddies of Prokofy start to get suspicious, and their wives also start to get suspicious as well. The wives also comment and say, well, if this woman really has this much control over Prokofy, if Prokofy wasn't, you know, if presumably he wasn't like this before, then this woman must be, like, really pretty. So one of the women go and sneak into Prokofy's wife's, I think I think it's like a house or whatever, just to like get a glimpse at her to see like what she looks like, to see if like any of these rumors are true. And it turns out that she's actually really ugly, like notably ugly, and they're all like bamboozled and stuff. Like they have no idea what is going on here. And then they start to, this is probably the most logical thing at the time before, modern technology and everything. They start accusing her of a witch because they can't possibly understand how much power she has over him. And so then Prokofiev's old war buddies basically start to gang up, and they're like, we can't be having witches here. Russia at this time is very heavily Orthodox, very heavily Christian, and, being a witch at this time, being a witch at really any time in history in Europe was, is pretty much a death sentence. So they basically pull up on Prokofiev's house, and they basically beat her up, and they basically try to arrest her, and they make sure not to kill Prokofiev because they see Prokofiev as, I'm pretty sure I interpret it as they see him as almost like a helpless victim, as they're trying to free Prokofiev from his wife, so that's why they're not killing him. But Prokofiev is very adamant about not letting his wife be harmed. He's fighting tooth and nail against his war buddies, even harming them at some point, and it's quite interesting, like, how much Prokofiev really puts onto this. But at the end of the day, even though Prokofiev does end up protecting his wife does die a little later. I also forgot to mention, and this is my bad, but there are other factors that also led up to Prokofiev's wife being accused of as a witch, including the fact there was this rumor that spread about where apparently Prokofiev's wife had tried to milk one of the cows, but as she, right after she milked the cows, apparently the cows' udders, withered and weren't able to produce any more milk, and so that was a good enough excuse, that was a pretty, they put 2 and 2 together, and they're like, yeah, this Turkish woman, she's definitely a witch, and then they kind of just went with that, and, yeah, that's kind of where it went from there. But before Prokofiev's wife died, the Turkish woman and Prokofiev had a son named Panteleimon. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. I'm just going to say Panteleimon. But Panteleimon is the son. He grows up. He's kind of seen as a little bit of an outcast. It's not only because he's, half Turkish and half Russian at this point, and, usually everyone else in the village is probably just 100% Russian. I'd assume there's a bit of that, but also because, well, if your mother's quite literally a witch who got, for intents and purposes, lynched by the rest of the town, then you're kind of gonna be looked a bit weirdly by the rest of the village. But anyways, regardless of that, Panteleimon takes over the farm. He repairs it and all that. He takes up all the things that his father once did. And he seems to actually start to incorporate himself back into village life. He seems to have some sort of resentment for his father, but regardless, so Panteleimon basically puts the family back in order. He takes on a wife named Ilichna, and he has 3 children. One is Piotra, the other one is Gregor, and the other one is Dunya. So that's pretty much the first chapter of this book, and from what I've read for the later chapters, it seems that Gregor is probably going to take more of the main character role. He seems to be, I haven't read the Wikipedia page or anything about this book, but Gregor seems to be the one that they do focus on, and of course it's the middle child. So that was the first chapter. It was really short. This is probably the shortest chapter in the whole book, but I basically covered everything in detail that I wanted to, and I'm just going to analyze a little bit of it. I hope my analyses aren't that boring, but so far we're starting out with, your typical family history. Like I said, they have this in the Mahabharata, they have this in a lot of different epics, and it's kind of setting off this whole, almost a tone of a mythology going on, that there's about to be this epic sort of thing that goes on through generations. When you add this whole family history, it definitely adds more of a sense of grandeur, that this has, that this sort of thing has been going on for years. And when I mean thing, I mean there's some sort of tradition that's being passed down in terms of literary greatness, in terms of grandeur, that I think is really being emphasized. There's not a whole lot of books that start where the ancestry is. Usually you have some styles where it's in the middle of things, like in the Odyssey, but in this one it's clearly going right back to the very beginning of what's important. And adding along to that a lot, there's in the Russian naming convention, what they usually do is, instead of so for example, you have Panteleimon Prokofeyevich. So Pantelemon's name is made up of his first name, his given name, Panteleimon, but his last name, which is Melekhov, is not usually used in some contexts. Instead, it's being substituted with Prokofeyevich, and Prokofeyevich basically just means the archaic way of saying son of Prokofy, which is his father. And it's almost like an Icelandic, Anderson or, Jackson. And I think that kind of just adds more of a sense of, like, this is a historical epic. And I know it's a very minor detail, and War and Peace does it, a lot of Russian novels do it, but I think this book in particular definitely emphasizes that. And I think today, this also probably would probably be seen as a bit more racist. And I could totally understand why, times change and everything. But whenever they refer to Panteleimon as being half Turkish, or even later in the book with his sons and daughters, as they always emphasize that, oh yeah, they're a quarter Turkish, and they always emphasize that part, and they always associate it with some sort of, brutality or some sort of, savageness, which is, we don't really say that today, and that would be considered racist or pejorative or offensive. But then I think the whole reason why Sholokhov probably added the part in there about, them being Turkish is to add some sort of layer of brutality in their personalities. It's more like a character flaw than anything, which, I don't agree with in terms of, employing that literarily, but, I get it. This book was written in, 1930, so you can't really blame him for that, I guess. But yeah, that was And Quiet Flows the Dawn, Chapter 1. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There will be a second video coming out. Hopefully I'll go through the whole book. I think I'll try to shoot for releasing maybe, once per week of these. If these get popular, I might do a more constant upload schedule. But, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If any of you will be watching. But I'll probably do some more Russian literature books after this. I've read War and Peace, but I do not want to summarize every chapter. That is going to be very long, but if there's any books that you want me to review, any sort of content that you want me to do, I'd be down for it. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. See you guys next time.